My name is Atul Khosla. I'm the founder of Leadership at Humanity, and I'm based here in Chicago. It's my pleasure and a privilege to be there with you today and talk about this topic, which is very close to my heart, which is why leading with humanity is more critical now than ever. I've spoken about this topic on many platforms in last few months and probably a year and a half. But today I'm very excited, and there are a couple of reasons for that. One, I'm talking to the future leaders who are yet to form their opinion, form their perceptions and views on leadership. Two, you are the folks who are going to lead the future of a future narrative of leadership, how people will experience leaders in the times to come. So there's a big responsibility which comes with that. So I hope that today, when you walk away from this conversation, you have some idea about what does it take to be a good leader and how you can build a sustained ongoing impact as a leader. So let me start with a little bit of my own background. I grew up in a northern part of India, a small town called Kathua, about 5,000 people. In my childhood, my early recollections are of a time where we would play cricket and our ball will go in somebody's home. We could just walk in, sometimes without even knocking the door, fetch your ball without being scolded or harmed. There were probably 8 or 9 television sets in the entire town. So we would go and watch cricket highlights or watch a movie in any home. We were welcome, sometimes even served savories and snacks and watch the movie and come home. So my notion of society was that of an interdependent society, where my thinking with which I grew up was that humans are wired to help and support each other. And as I started working, and I was very fortunate to have a career which took me to different parts of the world. So I worked in Asia, I worked in Europe, Middle East, Africa, in the US now quite a while, which actually exposed me to an environment where I had a first-hand feel of leadership, which helped me form my own perception and views on leadership. So today, in a few minutes, I'm going to share with you 3 important things. One, who is a leader? I'm sure you're curious as students, as you're forming your own opinions and thinking of your careers, your future. Well, what does a leader look like? 2, I want to talk about what is the issue with the current narrative of leadership today? What is the challenge? Why I say, and probably I'm not the only one, that why humanity is more critical now than ever in the leadership. And 3, I want to leave you with some thoughts and ideas that as you build your careers, as you go on with your life journeys, how to shape your own perspective on leadership so that your impact and influence can be sustained over a longer period of time. So first, with that, let me start with what is a leader or who is a leader? So leader is not a manager, is not a captain of the team. Leadership is more of a responsibility. A leader is somebody who can influence and inspire others to give their best for the shared outcomes. And sometimes leaders are not only leading the teams. There is this notion that leadership is vertical. People who are supporting you or reporting to you make you the leader. No. Leaders can lead people across the spectrums. They can lead people above them in the hierarchy. They can lead people who are at their levels, their peers, and of course their teams and the broader, larger organizations which are looking at them. So leadership is kind of a 360 influence or impact and inspiration for people to give their best. 2, leaders generate trust. People should be able to believe in the leaders. People connect with their beliefs. They don't connect with what they do. They don't even connect with the incentives, rewards, or sometimes punishments, or assessments or performance reviews, which their managers are doing or leaders are doing. They connect with the beliefs of their leaders. They want to trust those people. So the leaders who can generate trust in others are the ones who can have a much bigger, broader impact on others. And the third important element of leadership is that leaders are enablers. their success is manifested into the success of people they are responsible for. Their job is not to get the job done. Their job is to help those people who are getting the job done, enabling them to be at their best, taking care of them, being there for them, supporting them, encouraging them, inspiring them. Now, that model of leadership brings in more sustainability, more reliability, more connection, and more deeper, stronger relationships with the people they work with too. So leaders today, when they realize that people are expecting more of that, they're trying to build trust, trying to do things which will help them to build that trust-based bond with their people, but they're struggling with that because they never invested in it. So I'll share with you two stories. One of those is my personal story. Other one I observed. So I'm these days actually coaching a few of the senior leaders here in the US. So I'm coaching a very senior executive in a large global corporation who was known to deliver outcomes relentlessly year after year, highly performance driven, but had a very limited connect with her teams. So as I'm coaching her, she invited me to join one of her Zoom conversations with the broader or extended teams. Now, in the meeting, she started the conversation by checking in on everyone, how everybody was doing in the room around the table. She then started checking in on their kids, on the pets in some cases, how's everybody? But there was this silence in the room. People were nodding, smiling, but no one talking. And I was just observing. So after the conversation of that meeting, this was a Zoom meeting, by the way, she and I connected and she was sharing with me that, look, I'm doing all the right things. And I hope people understand that my intent is to help and support them, and I truly and genuinely care for them. So why people are not reacting or responding in a certain way? So I decided, by the way, to talk to one of her extended team members to check out what is happening, why they were not connecting, why they were not responding. So when I was talking to this lady, who's part of the extended team, she made a startling comment to me. She said, Atul, before pandemic, when we were in an office space, we sat on this common open office plan. This person walked by every day and just looked through me, sometimes not even acknowledging me or my greetings in the morning. And very occasionally, if she stopped by to say, how are you doing? She didn't care to spend even 1 second to look into my eyes and listen to my response. This was someone in walking. I was not even sure that she was saying that to me or to somebody else. And when the same person shows up today and checks on my pets and on my kids, I don't trust her. I don't think this is authentic. And that's the piece you cannot get by your position. That disconnect you cannot remove by just showing up and saying the right things. People should experience you as someone they can trust. And trust doesn't mean that you have to be perfect. Leaders can be imperfect. And my own learnings have been in my own career that once people accept you for who you are, they accept you with all your imperfections. You don't need to be perfect. Now I want to share with you my own story. This is year 2004. I was transferred my organization from Asia to Europe to lead a large team of HR professionals as a region head of HR for one of the top pharmaceutical companies from Europe. So I was very excited. And when I went there, I wanted to influence, attract, and almost wow everybody in my team and share with them how smart I was, how intelligent, how competent I was, that I got that job, which probably they were aiming for and they didn't get. So I was sitting my second day in my role in a meeting room near Geneva in Switzerland. And as you know, Switzerland is beautiful. So there was these nice mountains, early snow of the winters, and a lot of glass in that meeting room. And I was sitting there waiting for people to come in. And then my head of HR from Germany, from Italy, from Spain, Holland, France, Switzerland, they all came in and they sat around the table. And I got up with my very impressive slides, which I had worked on very, very hard to make it strategic, sharp, make my narrative. I practiced that and rehearsed that a lot. And I went up and I started sharing with them, this is my vision, this is my strategy, this is where I'm looking at, this is the kind of people I want to work with. Within first 3 or 4 minutes, I realized that I had lost my audience. They were not interested in me. They were not even looking at me. They were staring at each other. They were smiling. They were looking outside, looking at the mountains, everything else other than me. And in that one moment, I felt very, very weak. I felt disconnected. I felt I don't belong here. And then the first reactions inside me were that of anger, that of almost revenge, that these people are doing this to me. I got to find a way to get back to them, which slowly started turning into a defeat. That, do I really belong here? A lot of doubt in my mind. Increasingly, every day, which was passing in my new role, I was working hard to impress them, how good, how smart, how competent I was. And more I was doing that. Increasingly, I was losing any connection with these people. So I went to the head of HR of this organization, who was responsible to make my move from Asia or Singapore into Europe. And I said, his name is Simon, by the way. He's a great guy. He's a guide and a mentor today to me too. So I said, Simon, can I go back to Asia? Because I don't think I belong here. I don't think they will ever accept me for who I am. I don't look like them. Maybe I don't come from this region. Maybe they were aspiring to take this role and you gave it to me. But I do believe this is not going to work out. And he kind of pushed hard back on me. And I think one of the learnings I got, which I shared so openly with everybody today, is believe in who you are and bring that out instead of trying to be who you are not and going through the motions to try impressing others. So he said, you see, we don't have a role. We have backfilled your role in Asia. As somebody already in that position, we can help you find a job back. We can support you, but we don't have a role within this organization. However, you've made this big move. You've moved your family from Asia to Switzerland. Give it a good shot. Don't just let that go and try to find out why this disconnect is happening. They didn't know you before you moved into this role. You just show up and they're not connecting with you. So you're on a neutral ground. You can actually take a step back and try to look inside what you're not bringing on the table, which is giving them a hook to connect with you. And I thought that was one of the best advice I got in my career across these years. So I took a step back and started to learn from them. And then I started to realize, so I traveled a lot. I went to each of my countries. I spent time with my HR leaders in those countries and observed what they were dealing with, the kind of issues and challenges they were faced with. And I realized I knew actually nothing. Europe, while looks very, very compact, is a very, very diverse geography with very unique, very diverse issues and challenges. So that made me realize that I'm actually, knocking the wrong door. I got to develop respect for what they do and be vulnerable and share with them what I don't know. And that was the start of me being who I was, just showing up and sharing my fears, my anxieties, my vulnerabilities with them, and opening myself to learn from them. And the moment that happened, I started to see the change. They were more open to accept me. They were engaging me in conversations. They're sharing with me. And finally, they were kind of taking me as one of them to walk with them through this very, very unpredictable, ambiguous, complex environment they are dealt with. So what can be done? What can be different right now? I think leaders, we spend in the organizations as individuals as well as the companies, enormous amount of resources in building skills and capabilities. so that people can be smart enough. Even in our schools and colleges, our focus is on the skills and capabilities, giving them the tools which will help them to be successful in the ecosystem as it exists today. That created this narrative of extreme competitiveness where I got to take care of myself and navigate my way through this life. Unfortunately, our careers are not sprints. Our careers is a marathon. And we got to enjoy this race as much as we got to make an impact in a sustained way. If you're running a sprint without an end line and you're running faster because everybody else is running faster, you will keep running till the time you get tired and kind of drop off from the race and you have achieved actually nothing. So that's why it is important to take a step back and see what matters most. If next 25, 30, 40 years of my life, I really want to create the impact which is bigger than the job I do, bigger than the money I make, what will I need to do to have that impact? And once you're able to articulate that, people want to share that with you. They want to walk with you. They want to trust you, and they want to give more than 100% to make sure that you meet your dreams. So I will leave with you a few tips how to do that. But I think if you stay true to who you are, you will have people look up to you for inspiration. So my last piece I want to leave this thought with you is you have a big responsibility. I do believe the narrative around leadership needs to change in this world. And I think you have a big role to play in that. Do invest in nurturing your core and capacity as much as you invest in building your skills and capabilities. And I can tell you, your impact is going to be sustained and longer term, and you're going to enjoy this journey. Thank you very much. It was my pleasure today to be part of this conversation. All the best to you.